He almost walked past her. That's what haunted him later. Not the lies, not the revelation, not even the moment his entire understanding of that woman shattered, but the fact that, for a split second, he had considered doing nothing. It was a cold morning, the kind that made the city feel harder than usual. The wind slipped through thin jackets, through tired bones, through the quiet cracks of people who were already barely holding on. Daniel tightened his grip on his daughter's small hand as they stepped out of the grocery store. "Daddy, can we get hot chocolate?" Lily asked, her voice soft but hopeful, her big brown eyes looking up at him. He smiled, though his wallet had other plans. "Maybe next time, champ. How about we make some at home?" She nodded, pretending to be okay with it. She always did. That was the hardest part. She understood too much for a 7-year-old. That's when he saw her. A woman sitting on the curb, her head bowed, her coat thin and worn. Beside her was a little boy, maybe 5, clutching an empty juice box like it was something precious. The boy's eyes weren't crying, but they were close. Daniel slowed. The woman looked up briefly. Their eyes met, and in that moment, he saw something he recognized too well: quiet desperation. Not loud, not dramatic, the kind that whispers, "I don't know how much longer I can do this." He hesitated. He had exactly enough money left for groceries, rent already overdue, bills stacked like silent threats on the kitchen table. Helping someone else wasn't just generous, it was risky. But then Lily squeezed his hand. "Daddy, they look hungry." That was it. Daniel exhaled slowly, like a man stepping into deep water, knowing it would be cold. "Hey," he said gently as he approached them. "You okay?" The woman looked startled, almost like she hadn't expected anyone to stop. "We're fine," she said quickly, too quickly. Daniel nodded. "Yeah, I used to say that a lot too." Something in his tone softened her guard. "I'm Daniel," he added. She hesitated, then replied, "Sarah." The boy peeked from behind her. "I'm Noah," he said quietly. Daniel crouched down to his level. "Nice to meet you, Noah." Lily stepped forward, offering a shy wave. "Hi." For a moment, the world slowed. 4 strangers, connected by something invisible but powerful: need, kindness, and a fragile thread of trust. "Have you eaten?" Daniel asked. Sarah looked away. That was answer enough. Daniel glanced back at the grocery bag in his hand. It wasn't much, but it was something. "Come on," he said. "Let's grab something warm." "You don't have to," she started. "I know," he interrupted softly. "But I want to." And that's how it began. They sat in a small cafe nearby. Nothing fancy, just warmth, light, and the smell of coffee strong enough to make the morning feel a little less heavy. Noah devoured his sandwich like he hadn't eaten properly in days. Lily pushed her cookie toward him without a word. Sarah noticed. Her eyes softened. "You're raising her well," she said quietly. Daniel chuckled. "Honestly, she's raising me." They talked in fragments at first. Careful, measured, like people testing whether it was safe to open up. Eventually, Sarah spoke. "I lost my job a few months ago," she said, staring into her cup. "Things just spiraled after that. Rent, bills, you know how it goes." Daniel nodded. He didn't need details. He had lived that story himself. "I'm still trying," she added. For him. She glanced at Noah. "You are trying," Daniel said firmly. "That counts more than you think." Something flickered in her eyes, relief, maybe. Or disbelief at being seen. When they left the cafe, Daniel did something even he hadn't planned. "Look, I don't have much," he said awkwardly. "But I know a place. Cheap rent, not great, but safe. My neighbor moved out last week." Sarah blinked. "Why would you help us like this?" Daniel paused. "Because someone once helped him. Because he knew what it felt like to be one bad day away from losing everything. Because Lily was watching. I guess," he said slowly, "because I'd hope someone would do the same for me." Days turned into weeks. Sarah and Noah moved into the small apartment next to Daniel's. It wasn't perfect. Cracked paint, old plumbing, creaky floors, but it was shelter. And somehow, it became something more. A routine formed. Mornings with shared breakfasts. Evenings with laughter echoing through thin walls. Lily and Noah became inseparable, their giggles stitching together the broken edges of 2 struggling families. Daniel helped Sarah look for jobs. She was smart, he could tell, but oddly vague about her past. "I used to work in management," she said once. "What kind?" he asked. "Just corporate stuff." He didn't push. Everyone had their reasons for not wanting to talk. Still, Something didn't quite add up. She spoke too well, too confidently. She noticed details most people wouldn't, like how Daniel balanced every expense in his head, or how Lily pretended not to need things. And sometimes, late at night, Daniel would see her sitting by the window, not looking defeated, but thoughtful. Like she was observing, measuring, waiting. One evening, Daniel came home exhausted. Work had been brutal, his boss harsher than usual. Bad day, Sarah asked as she leaned against the doorframe. Just the usual, he sighed. She studied him. You deserve better, you know. He laughed. Yeah, well, don't we all? No, she said softly. Not everyone earns it the way you do. That stuck with him. Weeks later, everything changed. Daniel was called into his boss's office. He expected another lecture. Instead, he was handed a letter. What's this? He asked. Read it, his boss said, oddly subdued. Daniel opened it. His hands trembled as his eyes scanned the words. Promotion, salary increase, benefits. He looked up, stunned. This has to be a mistake. It's not, his boss replied. Came from the top. The boss nodded. The CEO herself. Daniel frowned. Why would she? She's been reviewing employees personally, the boss said. Says she's looking for character. Whatever that means. Daniel left the office in a daze. A promotion didn't just change his job, it changed everything. Stability, security, a future he had almost given up on. He couldn't wait to tell Sarah. But when he reached home, something felt off. The door to Sarah's apartment was open. Inside, the place was empty. No furniture, no bags, no sign of them, just a single envelope on the floor. His chest tightened as he picked it up. Inside was a note. Daniel, thank you for seeing me when no one else did. Thank you for choosing kindness when it wasn't easy. You didn't just help us, you proved something I needed to believe. I'm sorry I couldn't tell you the truth. But you'll understand soon. Sarah. Daniel read it twice, then a third time. What? He whispered. Lily tugged at his sleeve. Where did they go? I don't know, he admitted, his voice breaking. For the first time in weeks, the apartment felt cold again. 2 days later, Daniel received an invitation. A formal one, a company event, mandatory attendance. He almost didn't go. His mind was too consumed with Sarah's disappearance, the unanswered questions, the quiet ache of something unfinished. But something told him he needed to be there. So he went. The venue was nothing like his world. Elegant, polished, full of people who looked like they belonged in a completely different life. Daniel adjusted his borrowed suit, feeling out of place. Then the room fell silent. All eyes turned toward the stage. And, now, the announcer said, please welcome our CEO. Daniel barely paid attention at first. Until she walked out, his heart stopped. Sarah, but not Sarah. She stood tall, confident, dressed in a way he had never seen before. No worn coat, no uncertainty, no trace of struggle, just power, control, truth. Daniel couldn't breathe. This past month, she began, her voice steady, I stepped away from this world. I wanted to understand something that numbers and reports could never show me. The room listened intently. I wanted to see who people really are, when there's nothing to gain. Daniel felt the ground shift beneath him. Her eyes scanned the crowd. Then they found him, and I found him. A spotlight hit Daniel. Murmurs spread across the room. He stood frozen. He didn't know who I was, she continued. He had every reason to walk away. He had his own struggles, his own burdens. Her voice softened, but he chose kindness anyway. Silence. He reminded me what this company should stand for. Daniel's chest tightened. This promotion, she said, wasn't just about performance. It was about heart. Tears burned in his eyes. You passed the test, she said quietly, directly to him. After the event, she found him. For a moment, neither spoke. Then Daniel shook his head, a mix of disbelief and emotion. You lied to me, she nodded. I did. Why? Because I needed the truth, she said simply. Not the version people show when they think it matters. He looked away. You could have trusted me. I do trust you, she said. That's why this was so hard. Silence stretched between them. And Noah, he asked. My son, she said. The only part of that life that was completely real. Daniel exhaled. So, what now? She smiled softly. That depends, she said. Do you still believe in helping people, even when there's no reward? He met her gaze. I didn't do it for a reward, he said. I know, she replied. That's why it mattered. Months later, things were different. Not perfect, but better. Daniel had grown into his new role, not just as an employee, but as someone who influenced others. He started programs to support struggling workers. Flexible schedules, emergency funds, small changes, big impact, and sometimes, he'd catch Sarah, no, her real self, watching quietly from a distance. Still observing, but now, with something warmer in her eyes. Respect, maybe even something more. One evening, Lily asked him a question. "Daddy, why did you help them?" Daniel smiled. "Because," he said, pulling her close, "you never know whose life you're changing." He paused. "Or how they might change yours." And somewhere in the city, unseen acts of kindness continued, quiet, powerful, and real. Because sometimes, the greatest tests aren't the ones you know you're taking. And the strongest hearts don't need an audience to prove their worth.